Hi viewers, today in our botany online classroom session, we are going to discuss about nomenclature and introduction to ICBN. It is covered under BSc Life Sciences first year paper 2 in taxonomy. So what is taxonomy? Taxonomy is basically concerned with the classification of the plants. So before attempting to classify, it is necessary to identify the name, that is called as nomenclature of a group of plants. So identification, nomenclature and classification are the three basic components of taxonomy. So identification, that means to identify the plant, and nomenclature is naming the plant, and classification. So these are the most important components. So first, when we come to identification, what is identification? It is the determination of an unknown plant specimen. So when we find a plant, then we have to find the name of that plant. What is the name of that plant? So how we come to know about that plant name? So we have to compare the morphological characters. So we have to note down all the morphological characters of that plant, like vegetative characters, root characters, shoot characters, leaf characters, and also floral characters like the calyx, corolla, androecium, gynoecium characters. So when by considering all these characters, we have to compare these characters with the already known plant in the form of the herbarium or in the form of the keys of published flora. So herbarium, when the when a, when the flora of a specific area is identified, the plants of that area is called as flora. So when the flora is studied, the collected flora is stored in the form of herbarium sheets. So there all the names, morphological key characters, all are recorded in the form of the label. So we can compare by seeing the stored or pressed plant in the form of the herbarium, and we can compare by the features of the both the plants. And also we can compare the morphological characters of this plant with the keys of the published flora. Based on the keys also we can identify the name of that plant. So if both the characters are matched, then we can identify that plant name. If both are not matched, then we can confirm that it is the new plant taxon. So we have to consider naming that plant. So how to name that plant is the nomenclature. So it deals with the determination of a correct name to a plant or taxon. So nomenclature deals with the naming of the plant. The names of the plants vary from language to language and region to region, country to country. So in different areas, that plant is called by different common names. They are also called vernacular names. So there will be a lot of confusion when we go with the common name or vernacular name. So botanists all over the world consider naming the same name, that is called as scientific or botanical name. So that name is always in Latin language and is assigned to all the plants for the universal use. So this is the universal name, scientific name or botanical name. It doesn't change from area to area, from language to language. So it is always change in any country, in any region, in any language. It is always used in Latin language. Same name is applied everywhere. So it is called as universal name also. And also, while naming the plant in Latin, we have to follow certain rules. The first one is binomial nomenclature. What is binomial nomenclature? There are two names for each plant. The first part is called as genus name, second part is called as species name. So the name of the plant is in two parts. Scientific name or botanical name is, the first part is indicates the genus name and second part indicates the species name. Like our names, the first name and second name, surname and our given name. For plants also, the names consist of genus name and species name. So it is called as binomial nomenclature. And Gaspard Bohin, he initially proposed this binomial nomenclature, but even though Gaspard Bohin proposed, the credit of using binomial nomenclature goes to the father of taxonomy, Carolus von Linnaeus. So he established using the binomial nomenclature in his book, popular book called Species Plantarum. So in this book, he used the binomial nomenclature. He applied the binomial nomenclature. And for example, for the mango, the common name mango, it is in English, and Maamidi in Telugu, Amra in Hindi or in Sanskrit. So there are several common names for the mango. But the botanical name is same, that is Mangifera indica. So this Mangifera, it indicates the genus name and indica indicates the species name. And this botanical name in the print form, it is always printed in italics. In the printed books, it is always printed in italic form. And first name, that is generic name, it indicates the genus. The generic name always starts with a capital letter and the specific name always starts with a small letter. For example, in Mangifera indica, Mangifera stands for the genus name and M, it is in capital form, and in indica I, it is in the small letter form. And the third one, it indicates the author name. The original name of the plant is Mangifera indica. So the next one, Linn, it indicates the Linnaeus. The one who first proposed the name of that plant is the author name. And also we consider Oreopsis exua Thurber. Here the name Thurber indicates the author name. Oreopsis is the generic name, Exigua is the specific name, Thurber author name. And like that, Triticum aestivum, wheat. The botanical name of the wheat is Triticum aestivum. This name was proposed by Linnaeus. Linnaeus is the author here. So it is abbreviated as L here. So that here this letter indicates the author name, and it is always author name is in the capital form. It is not italicized. So when we come to classification, that third component of the taxonomy, classification. So in the classification, every plant belongs to a species, and each species belongs to a genus, and each genus belongs to a family, and each family belongs to an order, and each order belongs to a class, and each class belongs to a division. So this is called as taxonomic hierarchy. Now we see taxonomic hierarchy of already we discussed about the mango. So it belongs to the kingdom Plantae, division Embryophyta are also called as Angiospermae, and class Dicotyledone, order Sapindalis, family Anacardiaceae, genus Mangifera, species Indica. So this is called as taxonomic hierarchy of Mangifera indica. So here the Angiospermae, all the plants, seed plants, are again divided into gymnosperms and angiosperms. So this division is Angiospermae, class Dicotyledone, order Sapindalis, family Anacardiaceae, and this is the name of the plant. It is divided into generic name, that is Mangifera, and specific name. Okay. Now we come to the set of the rules related to nomenclature. The first one is for the class, it is the suffix always used like NAE, dicotyledone. For the monocots they use monocotyledone. Here NAE is the suffix for the class, and for the order the suffix always used is alis, ALES. Alis is the suffix always used for the for example, Malvalis, Sapindalis, Asteralis. So here Alis indicates the name of the order, and family, for each family they use the suffix, we should use the suffix AC, ACE, AE. For example, Anacardiaceae, Asteraceae, Malvaceae, and here there are certain exceptions for this rule. 8 exceptions to this rule. Each of 8 exceptional names was almost universally used, as these family names for 8 families have been used for a long time, so they are exempted for by this rule. So throughout the world, when the first edition of the code was prepared, and so in accordance with the overriding goal of achieving nomenclatural stability, it was agreed that they would continue to be used. So what are these 8 families? Graminae, alternatively it is named as Poaceae, grass family, and next one is Palmae, it is alternately named as Aracaceae, it is palm family, and Cruciferae, old name is Cruciferae, it is a mustard family, alternatively named as Brassicaceae, and Leguminaceae, it is a pea family, alternatively named as Fabaceae, and Guttiferae, it is also St. John's wort family, and alternatively named as Clusiaceae, and Umbelliferae, the carrot family, the new name is Apiaceae, and for the Labiatae, it is a mint family, alternative name is Lamiaceae, and the most advanced, one of the most advanced families in the dicots is Compositae or Dicey family, alternative name it is Asteraceae. Here these 8 families have been used by the same old name. So these are the 8 families are exempted by this rule of thus using the suffix AC. Graminae, Palmae, Cruciferae, Leguminosae, Guttiferae, Umbelliferae, Labiatae, and finally Compositae. And for naming the plants, to achieve the universal consensus on naming the plants, scientists from all over the world convened a meeting at Paris in 1867, and they framed certain rules in naming the plants. So this is called as Paris Code, popularly named as Paris Code in 1867. So Alphonse de Candolle, son of A.P. de Candolle, he convened an assembly of botanists of the world to present a new set of rules, and he convened the first International Botanical Congress at Paris in 1867. And as per the Paris Code, the starting point for all nomenclature was fixed with Linnaeus, and the rule of priority was considered as basics for the valid publication. So they framed a rule called the rule of priority, and it is considered as basic for valid publication. So who published the name, and how to consider the author name, that is called as author citation. So for this certain rules were framed. And next in Vienna they convened the third International Botanical Congress in June 1905. In this congress, and they established that Linnaeus authored Species Plantarum in 1753 is the starting point for naming vascular plants. From then onwards, they considered the publication of the plant names. Whoever publishes from then onward, the first who publishes that name considers as the author of that plant name. And tautonyms are banned. What is the tautonym? If the same name is repeated, like generic name and specific name is repeated as the same, that name is called as tautonym. For example, Malus and Malus, both the generic name and specific name is same. It is repeated twice, so it is called as tautonym, and usage of tautonyms are banned by this Vienna Code. So it is renamed as Pyrus Malus, apple. And these names should always be in Latinized diagnosis form. An International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, it is also abbreviated as ICBN, was first framed at St. Louis, and this code is called as St. Louis Code, and it was adopted by the 16th International Botanical Congress in 1999. And this ICBN, the set of the rules and articles is kept in the website here. This is the website where we can find what are the rules and articles, chapters related to ICBN. Here contains preface, preamble, and in the division 1 they kept the principles of ICBN 1 to 6. International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, main principles 1 to 6, and in division 2 they kept the rules and recommendation from article 1 to 62. In chapter 1, taxa and their ranks, and in chapter 2, status, typification and priority of names from article 6 to 15, and in section 1, status definitions, article 6, and section 2, typification under the article 7 to 10, and under the section 3rd, priority of publication, that is in article 11 and 12. Under section 4, limitation of the principle of priority, they are covered under article 13 to 15, and under chapter 3, nomenclature of taxa according to their rank in article 16 to 28. Under section 1, names of taxa above the rank of the family, and in section 2, names of the families and subfamilies, tribes and subtribes. Section 3, names of genera and subdivisions of genera. Section 4 names of the species. Section 5 names of the taxa below the rank of the species, that is intraspecific taxa. Section 6 names of plants in cultivation, and chapter 4 effective and valid publication under the article 29 to 50. Under section 1 conditions and dates of effective publication. Section 2 conditions and dates of valid publication of names. Section 3 author citations. Section 4 general recommendations on citation. Chapter 4 rejection of names. Chapter 6 names of fungi with a pleomorphic life cycle. Chapter 7 orthography and gender of names. Section 1 orthography. Section 2 gender. Division 3 provisions for the governance of the code. So all these are kept in the website here. So now we come to the introduction to International Code of Botanical Nomenclature, that is ICBN. So ICBN is a set of rules and recommendations dealing with the formal botanical names that are given to the plants. Its intent is that each taxonomic group, that is the singular form is taxon and the plural form is taxa. So here taxonomic group of plants has only one correct name that is accepted worldwide. As we discussed earlier, universally accepted name, a single name, the botanical name is universally accepted worldwide. So only one name is given to the plant to avoid the confusion. And the formal introduction of this system of naming species is credited to Swedish natural scientist, that is Carl von Linnaeus, and effectively beginning with his work, that name of the book is called as Species Plantarum in 1753. So Linnaeus is the Swedish botanist, physician and zoologist who laid the foundation for the modern biological naming scheme of binomial nomenclature. And so he is also known as the father of modern taxonomy. And what are the principles of ICBN? Now, as we discussed earlier, there are 6 principles of ICBN. The first one is the botanical nomenclature is independent of zoological nomenclature. So both have different nomenclature for the plants and zoological names. So this code, ICBN code, applies equally to names of taxonomic groups treated as plants, whether or not these groups were originally so treated. That means plants do not include bacteria. So the plants nomenclature, the botanical nomenclature is different from animals zoological nomenclature. That is the first principle. And second one is application of names of taxonomic groups is determined by means of nomenclature types. So here for each plant which is named, there is a nomenclature type. So it is the name of the plant is determined by nomenclature type. That is the second principle. The third one is the nomenclature of a taxonomic group is based upon priority of publication. So whoever publishes prior, so the priority is given to the one who published first. So the one who published that plant name is the author of that plant. So that is called as priority of publication. And so this is the third principle. Fourth principle is each taxonomic group with a particular circumscription, position and root can bear only one correct name. The earliest that is in accordance with the rules except in specific cases. So there is only one correct name for each plant. There are no more than one name. And fifth principle is scientific names of taxonomic groups are treated as Latin regardless of their derivation. So in whichever country that plant might be identified, but that name should be in Latin. So whoever may given from whichever country, but that name should be in Latinized form. That is the fifth principle. Sixth principle, the rules of nomenclature are retroactive unless expressly limited. So when it is modified, so they apply certain retroactive rules, conditions. So these principles were laid down in 1983. So these are called as principles of International Code of Botanical Nomenclature. And so these principles, now we go in detail one by one. The first principle is botanical nomenclature is independent of zoological and bacteriological nomenclature, is also simply called as straightforward principle. Because if an organism is considered to be a plant, then it must be named in accordance with the botanical code, and if it is considered a bacterium, it is a bacteriological code, or if it is an animal, that is zoological code. Now, second principle is the application of names of taxonomic groups is determined by means of nomenclature types. So it is also simply can be said that type principle. So there are different types for each identified plant. So always the name is determined by the means of nomenclature type. So for vascular plants such as grasses, a nomenclature type is a herbarium specimen that has been deposited in a herbarium. So what is nomenclature type? That is the herbarium specimen which is specified by the author. So it should be deposited in a herbarium. For each identified plant, a specific herbarium specimen is reserved, that is called as nomenclature type. And principles of so as per the type principle, there are different types. So all the designated specimens including their duplicates are referred to as syntypes. So the original one is nomenclature type. There are several different kinds of type specimen, but the most important ones are holotypes, lectotypes, neotypes, and epitypes. The next most important ones are isotypes, syntypes, and paratypes. So the first four kinds of type refer to specimens that are unequivocally the nomenclature type of a name. So holotypes, lectotypes, neotypes, and epitypes are called and they are used as nomenclature types. And a holotype is a specimen that has been designated the nomenclature type of a name by the person creating the name. So if a plant is identified as a new taxon, that the person who identifies that plant is called as author, and the specimen, the herbarium specimen which is proposed by the author is called as holotype. And if the person who originally published a particular name did not designate a holotype, then the alternatively a later taxonomist may select a specimen to serve as a nomenclature type. So in case holotype is present, which is published by which is preserved by the author, then that is called as nomenclature type. And if it is absent, if author did not specify any holotype, then the next author who collected that plant and preserved in the form of the herbarium, that sheet is called as lectotype. So this is an alternative nomenclature type. With the holotype so here now if the holotype is present, that is called as nomenclature. If the holotype is present absent, then what is the nomenclature type? Lectotype is the nomenclature type. And if the holotype or lectotype both are destroyed or lost, a new type specimen can be selected, that is called as neotype. So the first priority goes to holotype. If it doesn't exist, then lectotype. If both are not present, then the third one is neotype. And an eptype is a specimen selected to be the nomenclature type of name for which there is a holotype, lectotype or neotype available. And why would it be necessary to select another specimen as a nomenclature type? So when all these are present, holotype, lectotype and neotype, then what is the purpose of eptype? So sometimes the holotype, lectotype or neotype simply does not show the features that are needed to determine unequivocally to which of two taxa it belongs. Then in such a case, it can't be used to fix the meaning of a name. Even though if the holotype, lectotype or neotype is present, if the evidence is not sufficient to establish the identity of that plant, then we have to go for another nomenclature type that is called as eptype. So in such situations, another specimen can be selected as anchoring specimen. So here eptype is the anchoring specimen which supports it. It further provides the evidence, supporting evidence. So that is called as eptype. And now we come to third principle, that is the nomenclature of a taxonomic group is based upon priority of publication. It is simply named as priority principle. So it is always related to which name is given priority, which author is given priority, indicated by the priority principle. So it is based on, in essence, if the taxonomy group has been given two or more names, the correct name is the first name that meets the code's standards for the publication. So if for the same plant, if the two names are or two or more names are exist, then based on whichever published first is given priority. If it satisfies the code's standards for the publication and whichever published first, that name is considered. That is called as priority principle. So basically this means that the priority of a name dates from the time that it was first published and made known to other botanists. So it should be published, and whichever name is published first is given priority. So that is priority principle. And priority means that the oldest legitimate name for a taxon must be selected for use. The starting date for priority of vascular plants is based on Linnaeus book, famous book Species Plantarum, published in 1st May 1753. So from then onwards, 1753 onwards, whichever name published first is given priority over other publications. That is called as principles of priority. And the fourth principle, each taxonomy group with a particular circumscription, position and rank can bear only one correct name. The earliest that is in accordance with the rules except in specified cases. That is called as uniqueness principle. So what it mentions, each plant has a single correct name. That is called as uniqueness of plant name. The uniqueness principle states that there is only one correct name for a particular taxonomy group within a given taxonomic treatment. It is a central principle upon which all the remainder of the code is based. So it is very important principle. So there should be only single name, that is called uniqueness of plant name. If the people disagree on the taxonomic treatment, they will consider different names to be correct. But within any treatment, each taxonomic group has only one correct name. So that is the uniqueness principle. Fifth principle, scientific names of taxonomic groups are treated as Latin regardless of their derivation. So from whichever country, whichever area, whichever language that plant is identified, irrelevant of whichever area it belongs, whichever language it belongs, that area, regardless of all this derivation, that plant should be named in Latin only. So this is called as it should be principle. So it states that scientific names are to be treated as if they were Latin. That is means it should be, the name should be Latinized regardless of the date. So last principle, sixth principle is retroactivity principle. The rules of nomenclature are retroactive unless expressly limited. So what does it mean? So the retroactivity principle means that anyone proposing a change in the code needs to consider the effect that the proposed change will have on names published in a wide range of literature and over a considerable period of time. So this is an intimidating requirement. It is why all proposed changes to code undergo committee scrutiny before being voted on. So any deviation, if there is any change in the code, so they have to thoroughly scrutiny what are the effects it brings on other aspects. So this is called as retroactivity principle. So for this one committee, for any deviation or for any modification, change in the code, they constitute one committee, scrutiny committee, for the what are the implications of this change on other aspects of the code. They thoroughly study, then they finalize their decision. So now we come to author citation. What is author citation? As we discussed earlier, for each plant there are two parts. First one is genus name, second one is species name, and after that we give the author name, that is called as author citation in abbreviated form. A name cannot be complete without an author's name. So as we discussed earlier, Mangifera indica linnaeus, abbreviated as L. So according to Article 46, so it is given the rules are framed on author's name in Article 46. If the author's name is too long, it should be abbreviated. As we discussed earlier, hibiscus L, hibiscus roja sinensis L means Linnaeus. It is abbreviated as L. Wherever L is present, we consider that is Linnaeus author. Indigofera grandulosa variety Siskissi Baker. Baker is the author here. Solanum nigrum Linnaeus. So according to Article 49, when a genus or taxon of a lower rank is altered in upper rank but retains its name or epithet, the author who first published this as a legitimate name or epithet must be cited in parentheses, and followed by the name of the author was effected the alternation. Example, citrus aurantium. Here citrus aurantium variety grandis L. So when raised to rank of species, it becomes citrus grandis within parenthesis brackets L and obsec. Here L is the first author and obsec altered that name. So the first author Linnaeus, the name of the first author is kept within the brackets. Then the whoever modified that name, altered that name, that author's name is also given later. The names of two authors are linked by X dot when the first author proposed a name but was validly published only by second author. So the first author may publish it, proposed, he might propose that name, but it was not validly published. So another author may publish it validly. Then we keep both the names linked by X. For example, Cerasus cornuta Wall X Roy. So here both the authors names are linked by X. That means the later author published it validly. If the name of the plant is jointly published by the two authors, so the same plant can be published by, it can be identified and studied and published by two authors, then their name should be linked by means of at or an ampersand. So when these two authors jointly publish a name, then both the authors' name are kept, and between the two names they use at or ampersand. And also when more than three authors are involved in publication of that plant, the citation is normally restricted to the first author and is followed by et al. So if more than three authors involved in publication, then only first author name is kept, and they use the et al. At the end. When the first author publishes a new species or name in a publication of another author, in is used. Example, Carex cashmerensis clarke in Hook F. It means Clarke published the new species in Hooker's Flora of British India. So here for the author citation, if one author publishes the name of the plant in another author's book, then we use the names of the both the authors. We cite the both authors' names, and these two names are separated by in. And now we come to typification. What are the types of the taxon? So names of different taxonomic groups are based on the type method. The principles and articles of the ICBN provide that all taxonomic groups will be based on nomenclature types, meaning thereby that all names are permanently attached with some taxon or specimen designated as type. So now we see what are the different types. So this is also typification. Holotype. What is the holotype? The single specimen may be whole plant or a part of it with which the name of taxon is permanently attached is known as holotype. So this holotype is the herbarium specimen specified by the during the publication specified by the author who publishes that name in the beginning. So this is the original specimen specified by the author, that is called as holotype. And next one is isotype or cotype. So fragments from the same plant from which the holotype is made are plants with same field number or isotype. So isotype is a copy of the holotype from the same plant. So the author, if he for the safety, he may take more than one plant specimen, and he may keep more than one herbarium sheet. So the first one is the original one is called as holotype. The duplicate one is called as the isotype or cotype. And paratype. Next one is specimen other than holotype and isotype is called as paratype. The specimen may bear a different field number as it is collected from different localities by different collectors. So here holotype and isotype are denoted by the same field number as they are collected from the same plant, from the same area. But paratype is a duplicate of holotype, but it is collected from different areas and it might be collected by a different collector. So the field name is different for the paratype. And next we come to syntype. The specimen which is the basis of new taxon when no holotype is designated by author is known as syntype. So if the author is failed to provide a specific taxonomic type holotype, then syntype is used. If author studies collection from different localities and by different collectors and decides to establish a new species, labels of all of them as types, all these specimens become syntype. And lectotype is the type chosen to serve as holotype when either an earlier designated holotype was lost or destroyed, or holotype was never designated, and from the isotype and paratype or syntype, a specimen is chosen by a specialist to serve as type. So when there is no holotype, from the isotype, paratype or syntype, one specimen is chosen by a specialist, and now it is called as lectotype. So out of the isotype, paratype, syntype, it is specified as lectotype. So next we come to neotype. If holotype, isotype, paratype or syntype are lost or not available, then neotype is served the purpose, and some taxonomists call it standard specimen. Topotype, what is topotype? When no original type material is available and a specimen is collected from type locality is chosen to serve as type, it is called topotype. And now finally eptype. Specimen is selected to serve as an interpretive type when the holotype, lectotype, neotype, etc. could not effectively be identified to name the taxon, then it is called as eptype. So eptype, it gives more elaborative description. So now we come to effective and valid publication. What is effective publication? It refers to the distribution of a new name in a printed, permanent, readily accessible form such as a book or a journal. So when one person identifies a plant and names a plant, he should publish it in a printed and in a permanent and readily accessible form such as books, in the form of the book, or as in a journal. It should be published, then only it should be considered as an effective publication. And the date of effective publication is the date on which the publication came into effect. So if 2 or 3 persons publish a same name for the same plant, then whoever publishes validly, whoever publishes effectively, that should be considered. So that other name is cited. So that is effective and valid publication. So these are the references for this present topic. So now thank you all.